Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and it's time for another installment of Explore the Lore, and this time we're going to look at the survivor for the upcoming Chapter 19 DLC of Dead by Daylight, the title of which was revealed yesterday to be All Kill. I thought this was kind of a strange title, but then I had people tell me that in Korea what this refers to is when you top the charts in the music industry and you beat or kill all the competition. That's called an all kill. So that makes much more sense to me because, well, Trickster, he definitely killed all of his competition, his perceived competition within his own band, didn't he? So, okay, we're going to go to the Dead by Daylight official website, and they have an article here written today about Yun-Jin Lee's lore. So let's check this out. Resilient and ambitious, Yun-Jin was born into a life of hardship, finding success in the music industry after years of effort and self-sacrifice. As a child, Yun-Jin was fascinated by sound, mimicking drums, and hitting keys on the piano. When she turned 10, however, she lost her instruments. Her family was heavily in debt and did not make the payments in time. The creditors took away everything they owned, including the house. Yun-Jin held her 4-year-old sister tightly as she cried. They moved into a windowless 2-bedroom basement. Since her parents worked day and night to pay their debt, Yun-Jin became her sister's caretaker. Every night, she sang until they both fell asleep. At 17, the renowned record label Mightee One Entertainment came to her high school to audition talent. She was rejected as an idol trainee, but obtained an unpaid internship at the studio. For the following years, she created some of the studio's biggest hits without any credit or recognition. To get her dues, she emerged in the public eye wearing flamboyant fashion and put sound bites into her songs that looped her artist name, magnum opus. Fans began to recognize her songs, and she became the producer of No Spin, a poorly performing boy band who needed her special touch. Dissatisfied with No Spin's commercial sound, she sought a rogue element to make the band stand out. Through her contacts in talent shows, she found the edgy, raw sound of Ji-Woon Hak. She relaunched No Spin with Ji-Woon as its newest member, and within hours, their first video was a viral sensation. Their success cemented Yun-Jin's reputation as a shrewd producer. Adorned in high fashion to attend luxurious events, Yun-Jin's harsh, impoverished childhood seemed far behind her. She moved into a penthouse and dined with socialites in skyline restaurants with breathtaking views of Seoul. The success of the first album broke records, setting the bar high for No Spin's second. As they were recording new tracks, the fire alarm suddenly blared. Concerned for her safety, Yun-Jin hurried to evacuate the building and left the stalling staff behind. Only when she bolted out into the street, she realized No Spin was nowhere amongst the coughing crowd. A Goliath of flames engulfed the building, slowly tamed by the steady streams of fire hoses. All members of No Spin perished in the fire, except one, Ji-Woon. The album was ruined. The band was over. She would be shelved while Ji-Woon would rot away as an instructor for idol trainees. But she refused to be a victim who watched helplessly as vultures swooped in to take what was hers. Unknown to Mightee One Entertainment, she created new tracks to relaunch Ji-Woon's career. She pushed him to tap into his grief and create a song exploring the pangs of sudden loss. The music showed Ji-Woon saying goodbye to each member of No Spin. Yun-Jin cleverly launched the song under Ji-Woon's newly adopted stage name, the Trickster. He would embody both fear and awe like the legendary Dokaibi spirits. Ji-Woon's song was a global phenomenon, its universal themes of grief and guilt resonating internationally, and together, Yun-Jin and the Trickster toured the world. Success greeted them at every shore. Yet disturbingly, so did a series of eccentric murders. This connection unsettled Yun-Jin as she noticed that the tour dates coincided with the victim's time of death. She was weary after the loss of No Spin and anxious to preserve her artist, so she increased the Trickster's security detail. What if the serial killer was an unhinged fan fixated on the Trickster, inspired by the artist's morbid songs? Returning to Seoul, Yun-Jin worked with Ji-Woon on his new material. When she entered the studio at the brink of dawn, she was surprised to see Ji-Woon already there. He seemed exhausted, like he had worked all night. When she listened to his tracks, she discovered a bizarre intro filled with shrieks and snares. It was too experimental for her taste. A week later, another death was reported. The body showed traces of torture and was arranged in the same flamboyant style as previous murders. This time, diamond cufflinks gouged into the eyes of the victim. The following day, the victim was on every television channel. A video from the victim's social media showed her squealing, surprised when her boyfriend handed her a heart-shaped birthday cake. Yun-Jin's stomach churned, that voice so familiar, and yet she had never met the victim. The next morning, her heart froze when she listened to the Trickster's opening track. The shrieks in his song matched the victim's squeal. Did he sample the victim's birthday video? No, that was impossible. He had recorded this song before the murder was reported. She stared at Ji-Woon on the other side of the booth's glass window. He was No Spin's only survivor. Everyone else was dead. Not to mention the eccentric murders that matched his tour dates. Death trails that seemed to converge to him. If he caused this, no artist would survive the scandal. Yun-Jin's career, no, her life would be over, and she would be destroyed. A wave of nausea surged over her. Heart racing, she rushed to the restroom. Wild thoughts blazed through her mind as she splashed icy water over her face. There had to be a simpler explanation. Perhaps she was overworked, or maybe she did not trust her success. Her mind was fabricating this suspicion because disaster was easier to trust than success. It was all in her head. She returned to the recording booth, eager to put the worries behind her. Months later, pressure came from Mightee One Entertainment executives. Revenue was down, and they blamed the Trickster since they disapproved of the violent themes in his music and the knife tricks he pulled during performances. While Yun-Jin was furious they scapegoated her artist, she agreed that Ji-Woon's sound was too niche to generate profit. She told Ji-Woon she fought them off, but was ultimately outnumbered. Because of her initial fury, he believed her to be on his side. They were given 3 months to create and perform the next hit for Mightee One. Months flew by, and the time came for Yun-Jin to take a seat at the executive's private show. She was confident about her song, but as soon as the music started, she knew something was amiss. Dense, foul smoke permeated the room. Yun-Jin coughed and gasped for air, but the more she coughed, the more she inhaled. Her body sank in the chair, her limbs heavy and numb. Her eyes widened as she watched, terrified, a nightmare come to life. The Trickster was a whirlwind of blood, slashing, stabbing, and chopping limbs. The executives were carved up like meat. They could not run. They were stuck, like Yun-Jin, paralyzed. A boiling rage swelled in her gut. How could she have denied her instincts? The fire, the murders on tour, it was him. It had always been him. And she had known from the start. Now her career was over, and so was Mightee One. Everyone she had worked with, her colleagues, her friends, dying before her eyes. Everything she had taken from her once more. No, she would not let him. He would pay. He would know her suffering. Suddenly, dark coils of black fog rose from the ground, and she was somewhere else. Bright lights flashed and blinded her. A spotlight found her in the darkness. Then a crowd erupted, chanting her name. Magnum opus! Magnum opus! She smiled and welcomed the darkness within. See you in the fog, the Dead by Daylight team. So I expect we'll see Ji-Woon, the Trickster's lore, delivered in this format in the next day or two, probably tomorrow. It's interesting that these two characters have a face-to-face connection. It's not something you see a lot in the original chapters of Dead by Daylight. Probably the last time this has happened is when Jeff Johansson painted the Legion mural in the Mount Ormond resort for the Legion members when it was their hangout, the abandoned resort. So they were face to face, but other than that, it's not something that you see a lot. So I think this is pretty interesting that these two characters do have that connection. I know a lot of people want to know when is this chapter actually going to come out. There's no official date given, but just based on past experiences of how they're doing dates between the start of the PTB and chapter delivery, I think it's most likely going to be a 3-week wait from when the PTB started yesterday. So that would put it, checking the calendar, at roughly March the 23rd will probably be the release date. But again, that's not official information. That's just my guess. Okay, thank you so much for watching as always. Don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.